flat on the belly. All right, now before I go over this bar arm series, there's a number of things that I've learned through the years. When I was competing and I began doing some of this stuff, I wasn't even completely conscious of what I was doing until after the matches. Guys would come up to me, or coaches would come up and say, well, what were you doing? I couldn't move my legs, or I can't feel my arm. And so I'm going to try to explain a lot of this stuff to you. Some of you are going to understand it, most of you are. Some of you younger guys, you're going to grasp the big parts of this, but you've got coaches that are going to pay attention. I've also got all this on video, or technique DVDs, so if you're interested, I've got DVDs with me. And we can talk about that later, but one thing about everybody you've wrestled, and every one of you build a base from flat like this the same way, okay? Now, I haven't talked to you yet today, have I? All right. Hands on your back. All right. Just going to do this right here. Now, watch the first part of his body to move when he starts to build a base. Go ahead, start to build a base. Right there, see? I didn't have to tell him to do it. Build a base to the other side. See? Knee out to the side. That's what everybody does. Last night when you got up to pee, that's what you did. You were laying there, you got to pee and you did that. You don't think about it, you just do that. You don't go, ooh, levitate out of bed. Not like you really got to pee. Okay? No, that's what you do. That's how everybody builds a base. So, when I'm wrestling this guy, if I can keep his knees together somehow, then it forces him to try and push up. He can't easily get his legs out, and there's different ways to hold his legs together. Here's one way. Just that. I just hooked under it, scooped over, and if I'm wrestling this guy, go ahead and get up. See, he can't, because he's got no knees to work with. If I'm laying on this guy like this, see, knees coming out to the side, all of a sudden he starts gaining elevation, all of a sudden I got more problems. So if I can keep his knees together, it really slows him down. So I pinch with my knees, I pinch with my feet, I hook and hook, I do all sorts of little things. And I've developed a lot of strength here. How many of you guys have ever heard of Dan Hodge? Okay, the old timers, the coaches. Dan Hodge is a living legend. He is a freak. He's still alive and he can still do it. He does demonstrations. He takes an apple with his hand and he blows it apart with his grip. He goes like that and the thing blows up. He has such amazing strength. And you can actually buy a book. It's called The Tale of Two Dans. It's talking about Dan Gable, Dan Hodge. And he was in a really lousy wrestling movie a few years back too. I don't remember the name of the movie, but he developed that strength, and grip strength, as you guys will know if you don't know it already, is huge in wrestling. If you got a good grip, that's huge in wrestling. But you'll develop strength as you use those muscles. Well, I've been using that pinching process. I can take an apple right here and go and squish it, because I've been doing that for so long. Okay? So when you get on top of this guy and you start squeezing, he may not feel much. Well, that's because you probably haven't used those muscles a lot. All right? I squeeze here, try and pull those legs together. I squeeze here, and then we start working on stuff. All right, so another thing I do is I sit on him. I sit on the guy. All of my weight is in one spot now. So if he was going to do a push-up, he's got to lift all of me with one part of his body, and that's his lower back, which on Americans, that's usually a weak spot. All right? If I was laying here like this, see, he's got to lift a little bit of weight all up and down his body. That's easier than lifting all of my weight with one part of his body. And if I take an arm back and I've got a bar, and I got my legs, or his legs pinched, and I got him like this, go ahead and go somewhere. Yeah, that's about all he's got. Okay? But if I'm laying here like this, see, his leg can slide out, he can start gaining elevation. There's a lot more potential problems. So before I ever start working the bars, I learn how to break this guy down properly and start getting in the right position. All right, now, slide back just a little bit. Now, arms up front. I'm going to bar this arm. And you know what? I'm going to use a bigger guy. There's a bigger guy. He's like 3 of us. Come on out here, big guy. What's your name? Derek? I'm Mike. Good to meet you. Elliot. All right. Cool. Buckets. All right. Don't highlight in the rodeo as a bull or anything. From right here, I'm going to bar this arm. And so, I want you to put that arm straight out. Slide your legs back, buddy. Now, if there's anybody here that thinks that I'm stronger than him, you were dropped as a child. He's probably got more ear muscle in his earlobe than I got. If he wants to hold that arm out and I want to pull it back, who's going to win that deal? Him. Okay? So keep your arm out. Don't let me pull it back. No, I'm not getting that thing back. Okay? But I want that thing back. I want to get that arm. Watch this. Squeeze his fingers, turn his palm. Keep your arm out there, tough guy. Come on, keep it out there. What's going on? You can't keep it out there, can you? How's that work? Well, you know what's interesting is I do camps around the country. I get a chance to travel all over the country. You gonna buy something? And I was out on the East Coast doing a camp a few years back, and I said, all right, and you guys here, you guys are from the country. You might live in the city, but who hasn't been to a rodeo? Raise your hand. Praise God, I am in America. I had some people out on the East Coast ask, what's a rodeo? What's a rodeo? I said, well, you know what? Out west, we rope calves and brand cattle and stuff like that. How many of you guys have ever branded a calf? All right, when you flank that calf or when you heel them and drag them to the fire, somebody jumps on them, what do they do to the top of the front leg? They bring it in, curve the hoof. Why do they curve the hoof?
So it can't be back up.
Well, it can't get back up and it won't kick your teeth right out the back of your head. And then you get that guacamole stuff all over your mouth. Okay? You do this. You do that with the leg, the front hoof of the calf. Because what it does, and what it does to this guy, Derek, what it did to Derek is it cuts off the extensor muscle. So it doesn't matter how big and strong this guy is, if I bend his wrist, I can pull his arm back. Well, that could be huge. Okay, let me, thank you. Where's my partner? Who's out? Just grab his fingers like that. Just press those fingers, grab the amount of, you have to have at least 3. Unless they change the rule again, it's 5 degrees. Grab those fingers, turn that palm so that you bend his hand either here or here. If you bend it either way, you can if you have the whole hand. It's like this, belly out. If your hand is, say, out here, you know, I can do that right there. I can't just bend it and go like this. I can't do that. But I can bend it like that. See, and I'm not like going terribly against a joint. I'm going against the joint a little bit, but I'm going against a joint in everything I do. But you can't go against the natural bend of the joint. So it was like if I was, your wrist turns every direction. It would be like if I was trying to bend his arm this way. That doesn't work so well. Okay? You can't do that. But I can bend his hand this way, I can bend his hand this way. And that's usually the way I go. If he makes a fist, I was down wrestling in Cuba one time, and I had this guy that cheated on the scales. He was like 2 weight classes bigger than me. But when you're a Cuban in Cuba with a Cuban ref, you can sort of do things. I don't know. But he was wrestling in the same weight class as me, and he was like 20 pounds heavier. But he made a fist, and he had a fist like Muhammad Ali. This guy had a monkey hand. And somehow I took him down, and I went, it's like I'm trying to bend this thing. I couldn't bend it, so I went, I rolled it, sucked that thing back, barred him up, pinned him before he hurt me, because I was pretty sure he was going to hurt me. But from right here, you keep your arm up. See, he's strong there. I might get it in. And if I bend that, keep it up. The spaghetti arm. I mean, you can like hit himself. It's amazing. You just take the strength away from the guy. So now I can get that arm in. I don't care how big it is. I can get that arm in, and I'm going to have this hand waiting. Grab that inside bar. Pressure here. This is important because this pressure here, one, it's irritating for him, and two, he doesn't like just getting his nose smashed into the mat. So he's going to be pushing, trying trying to work away from or into that pressure to try and get up. I've got his wrist, but he still doesn't like it. See, and that right there, just that pressure right there, is tiring out all this upper torso. If you just, like in matches, Chad, I mean, and a lot of schools are doing it, but did you ever have somebody just heavy on your head? Steve Mocco, holy smokes, like putting a gorilla on my head. And he comes from that Iowa. You know, there's a lot of teams doing it, but Iowa just heavy on the head, heavy on the head. Mike's at it, Billy's at it. All the Iowa guys, heavy on the head. You know why? Because you're going to do this, you're going to push back against that pressure, and it cuts off the electronic impulse from your brain to your muscles. And it cuts off, and it makes everything tighter. That's why in the third period, the NCAAs, guys are just falling down. They're tripping over the paint line because they're so tired from trying to get their head back up because the Iowa guys are just doing this. So if I'm doing it here, I'm making this guy tired. Just for him to push against that, he's exerting a lot of energy right now. That's going to help me later in the match. So I get this arm back. I got that pressure there. I want his elbow in the air. So I'm going to pull that thing up in the air, slide his hand down his ribs because I made a space. And there's my pinch again. And then I'm going to slide here, elbow in the back, motivate that guy a little bit. Pry that thing up. Okay? I don't want it here. I want it here. I want it all the way to the end of the range of motion. See, there's the end of his range. Why do I want it there? Why can't I just have it there? That's not that much space, is it? Watch this. Well, it might hurt, but this is the part that hurts. Now, I'm not sitting there going, "Argh." I'm just sort of motivating a little bit to give you that arm. Watch this. He's in the middle of his range right now. He's going to be strong right here. Keep your arm straight and slam it to the mat. See, I can't hold that. All right, relax, relax, relax. Now bring it to the mat. See, I can hold it, but he's pretty weak. Okay, now watch this. There's the end of his range. Now bring it to the mat. One finger. With my pinky? What, do you want to break my pinky? That's my picking finger. I'm a banjo picker. No. From right here, when I get this thing back, I pinch it, I catch it, I bring that thing to there, and then I can hold it. If I hold it out here, and he pulls me out of position, all of a sudden, I lost everything. So I'm doing all these things to try and corral him, to hold him in, so that there's not a lot of motion and I can get what I want. So I sit in one spot, I pinch his legs, I reach up, grab his fingers, bend his wrist, pull it back, catch it, pressure on the back of the head, pull it up, pinch, free arm elbow in the back, pry that thing up, lock my hands, run my bar through. Now, here's something that is huge. And he'll feel it. You guys might be able to see what I'm doing. Feel that? Yep. Okay, what am I doing? I'm just flexing my arm on his arm. And that's doing a couple of things. One, it's holding his arm. Because a lot of guys just do like this, and if he's flexible and he knows how to limp that thing out, boom, just like that, and you lose the bar. Okay, but if I'm flexing it, now get rid of it, or get it out of it. See, he can't even move it. So I'm flexing it. Another thing I'm doing is I'm cutting the blood off to his hand. Maybe in a sci-fi movie, but not here. Okay? But it's not going to be very useful because after about 30 seconds of no blood, you guys have had your leg or your arm fall asleep before. And you can't use it. I've had guys get up after the match, after I pin them, they go to shake hands and they're going, you know, or they're slapping their arm trying to get it back because you know that tingly feeling. My leg fell asleep here a while back in the middle of the night. I'm sleeping. I don't know how I was sleeping. I'm laying there and I got to get up to pee. So knee goes out to the side, build a base, right off the bed, take one step, boom! My right leg was just dead. There was nothing there, and I just woke my wife up. What the heck are you doing? Oh, I'm just flopping around down here. Okay, so right here, all those things just to get the bar. All right? Now, if his arm's just back here like this, he doesn't have any brains. You know, some guys that just start trying to get up, well, you just got a bar. And now I'm right to here. But the good guys, you're going to have to break them down. They're going to be good defense. Bend that. Pressure. Pinch. Keep it. Lock it up. And now we're going to start the finishes. All right? Now we're going to move to finishes. But you guys are going to all do that beforehand. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to spread out over the mat. Don't go way out in the back 40 if you don't need to. Stay within reasonable distance, but don't be real close to anybody. Get with a partner. One guy bellied out, one guy sitting on the cushion. Right here. Ready, go!